Sure, guys love that. Roll the windows.
All right, here we go. Let's go. All right. You ready for the injury report? All right, out. Will Benton. That's it? That's it?
Questionable.
That is it.
Hey, everyone else is available.
There's no questionable.
Good.
There's no probable. Everyone is ready to rock and roll.
That's good news.
Yeah, really good news. I just want to, again, I know I've said it before earlier in the season, but our training staff, the job they do in the training room, Brad Kimball, and everyone in there, outstanding job of having these guys ready to play week in and week out without compromising, the health and safety of the players. A lot of that goes back to the weight room also, what AJ and his guys have been able to do. Aaron in nutrition, being able to keep these guys not only fed, but fed the right way, hydrated, for the little soft tissue things. And then, the work that Pat Boyle and Jordan Diaz, Sean, all those guys do in putting together the sports science part, the scientific part of it, the data into how we practice and prepare. Can't say enough for that group of people and the job they do, and really everybody for allowing us to be able to make such a heavy commitment to that over the last 3 years. This is why that's important. This is why that is such an important part of any athletics, professional, college, whatever it is. Player availability is the number one commodity, and the investment and the resources and the infrastructure we've built around that over the last 3 years, you're seeing the payoff in it now, big time. And we're Georgia Tech. We should lead the country in that. We should be cutting edge in that, and be at the forefront for everything when it comes to the sports science, the analytics, the research, statistical things, all that. And it's showing now with our guys we have ready to play. So again, I can't thank all of them enough for what they do. We talked about it on Tuesday. Get a chance to go out on the road again and play a team that it is going to be not hungry but starving to get a win. And I've said it, when you turn the tape on and you watch film, they're a well-coached football team. All right, they hadn't had the best of luck. They have the ability, just like anyone in college football right now. And if people can't see that, they're not watching it the way we're all watching. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. That's what makes college football great. That's why the last 2 to 3 years and the changes that have occurred in college football, in my opinion, I know it differs from a lot, right, but that's what's made an exciting brand of football, and it's going to continue to be that way moving forward. So, but we've got a challenge. We've got the emotional part that we've got to change those emotions to energy and understand what's in front of us this Saturday, but also having that taste in our mouth from the past and using both of those to be able to fuel us and continue to push us forward in the season.
So let's talk defense. Past few weeks, what have you guys looked at heavily at changing, fixing, all of it, I'm sure? But
no, I mean, look, we've made. There were some improvements and things moving up until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had we played really good situational football. We improved our third downs. It played really well in the red area. There had been improvements, not consistent improvements, but ups and downs with the run game, getting pressure on the quarterback, affecting the quarterback. And then we had a poor game. All right, we owned it. I owned it. It's on me. But at the same time, we've been working to get those things fixed. I'm not going to get into what all they are, but everything is evaluated every day, whether it be from players to schemes to whatever it is. And we're constantly trying to make ourselves better because you're either getting better or worse.
How excited is Amari Harvey just to get back out there on the field?
Yeah, he is. He's such a competitor. He's one of the toughest DBs I've ever been around. And that's what excuse me, that's what drives his competitiveness. Just to have that rock out there that we need. It's been so consistent for us for so many years. I mean, we're going through starts before he came down here. I mean, he started 25 games here now, and So that's a lot of experience at that position that other guys got to step up and do their job, but having Amari is a huge plus.
Alex?
We talked to Haynes yesterday a little bit about playing in the cold weather. I'm sure as a player you played in some cold weather games, back when you were at Georgia Tech. Is this team kind of built for that physicality and toughness with that, or is just kind of any weather?
Are you tougher in the
anytime?
cold than the hot? I mean, I don't put anything into it at all. It's the same temperature here on Monday as it will be during the game. Fighting the Baltics, you got to train in the Baltics.
Not sure.
Coach, I know a big point of emphasis on Tuesday was just setting the edge. Just want to ask you, just from a schematic standpoint, like what goes into that? Is that eye discipline from a defensive end? Is that trusting what you're seeing? Is it not getting too sucked outside? Like, what's the best way to go about setting the edge? You would say.
Set the edge, physicality. Look, there's two. People talk about having contain. Who's got contain in the defense? Well, if I'm standing here and Simmett's over there, all right, I've contained that. I'm also containing it if I'm way over there. I'm also containing it if I'm right there. But when you set the edge, all right, you are eliminating space. All right, they're an A-gap run team. I mean, they're a power counter duo. Those are A-gap plays, right? But they're A plays that can bounce. I mean, those plays, you get the support gets sucked in on the edge, and you're running duo. I mean, that play can, it hits A, they're reading the mic, bounce, and all of a sudden you're out there with nobody to bring them down. All right, so setting that edge is going to be really important. It's going to be like team run out of practice every day because maybe that's who we are as an offense as far as the pull game, the gap schemes. So it's got to be with violence. It's got to be with great pad level. They got to trust their preparation and trust what they see. Not let the eye candy or different things, whether it be a jet motion, whether it be a rock back, whatever it is, whether it be a read scheme. It doesn't matter. They got to trust their preparation, trust their eyes, and come down and set that thing with violence.
I probably know the answer, but are you aware of the ACC standings? Have you talked to your team about that possibility of making a championship game?
Nope.
Will you?
Yeah, I've talked about it all week. This is a championship game. All right, we're in one-game seasons right now, and then that's all that matters. This is a championship week. All right, we understand what's in front of us. Again, they've got 2 ears, they got 2 eyes. They hear and see everything that's out there. All right, there's no reason to bring those things up. They understand that. And if people don't understand the importance of this football game this Saturday, then they probably shouldn't be playing college football or coaching football.
It was a post that came out. It was Calvin Johnson, obviously Georgia Tech legend. He just compared you to Dan Campbell in terms of just your authenticity and just, how you've been building this program.
Really?
Just, what does that mean to you?
That's awesome. That's cool. I mean, I don't know Dan personally. He's somebody for the last 3 years I have watched. Obviously knowing guys on the staff up there, kind of how they do things, and I mean, he is. He does it the right way. The physicality they play with as a team, the authenticity, the transparency that he shows to the players, that's a hell of a compliment. And I'm not, trying to emulate anybody. I'm trying to be myself and the best version of that every day. And the fact that there are similarities, I think, is really, really cool. They've had a lot of success. They do things the right way. They play the game the right way. Everybody considers him a very risky coach during the game. And if you see things and hear things and talk and whatnot, I mean, risks are all calculated. All right, we're not just going and flipping a chip on the table. I mean, and letting it spin. I mean, we're not doing that. They're calculated, but how do you prepare for them? How you practice? How you do those things is important. That's a hell of a compliment.
I know you talk about things outside of your control, things that y'all can't control. Seems like these last couple of weeks, the ACC's kind of gotten a little bit of a bad rap with the rankings and everything. Kind of talk about the ACC and how tough this conference is, and it seems like it's not getting the same respect as other Power 4 conferences right now.
So, what are you asking? Are you asking about the conference? Or are you
just how tough is this conference? Kind of does it stack up with other Power 4 conferences and the way teams play?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like rankings and whatnot. I mean, we give our attention to things we can control, things that we can affect. Right? We can't control that. We can't affect that. that's what we're going to put our time into. Not things that we can't. I mean, look, I can't control the traffic, can't control the weather. Don't even try to control Danielle. Not even going to. She has a heck of a job controlling me, though. Not in that way, but it's like but no, you can't think for other people. You can't do what, get people to do things that they're not going to do. You can't affect those things. So it's just a waste of time to even think, talk, spend any energy on those things. Because we got way too many things that we can't affect that we've got to spend our time on.
Garrett.
I mean, it's just statistical outputs, but do you sense any frustration from Jamal Haynes just in terms of his output on the field or anything like that?
No, I mean, Jamal's a competitor, super competitor. Yeah, he wants to have success every time he's on the field and touches the ball. Sometimes the cards aren't in there. Sometimes you press too much. But he's had a really good week of practice. I'm excited to see him play on Saturday.
A few weeks here till signing day. How has recruiting been going, and how strong will this class be in the end, do you feel?
I don't know. We'll see. I think we're in position with a lot of really good players right now. To fill out the high school portion of it, and y'all know I'm a big believer in high school recruiting, especially the recruiting inside the state of Georgia. Can't say names or whatnot, but we were in with a lot of guys that we're really close on. I think that would really fill the needs we have to have to continue to build this thing out for the long haul, and that's what we're looking for in the freshman class. We're looking for guys that we need length, we need size, athletic ability. I mean, you're constantly trying to build a bigger football team, a stronger football team, but also maintain the speed and look. I don't want just anybody on this team. There's a certain fit, a certain mold that we recruit towards. It's shown to be successful in work, and I'm excited about the guys we have a chance to close on and finish out here in the next 3 weeks. Oh, Chad had another one. It was a second part of the second. He had a second part of that.
Because the scholarship numbers have changed. Do you look at I'm sure that changes year to year, right? How many kids you're going to take, how many transfers you're going to take, how big the class will be.
Yeah, I mean,
You have a certain number in mind.
At the end of the day, it's 105. How we get there, plug and play. I mean, now with there being one portal window, does it change a little bit how we went about things the last couple of years? Yes, but that's something we also plan for. These are things that I think people can become very reactionary and make mistakes doing it. So I don't think it's necessarily the best to be in our case. Speaking for us here at Georgia Tech, I don't think it necessarily suits us the best to be the first out the gate to do something. All right, I'm going to make sure that we go through the good and the bad on it, and the positives, the negatives. Because you're dealing you're dealing with 17, 18-year-olds and their futures. Right? I don't take that lightly.
It's another off-the-field type of question, but it's coming around that time where people start voting for All-Americans, All-ACC, stuff like that. Who are some players in this team who should be in that kind of category, but we may not be talking enough about?
Y'all watch all the games. Y'all can tell who the good players are. I mean, look, again, I can't control that. I can't affect who's going to win awards and whatnot. I wish everyone on the team could win something. Just like Little League, right? Everybody gets a trophy. Just give them all a trophy. Just give everybody something. Let them all walk away with a smile on their face and a pizza and a Powerade.
Speaking of cold weather, Joe Fusel told me he loves playing in cold weather. So
why would he not?
yeah, so I mean, that's a day one guy for you, right? I mean, just a Tech man, right, through and through. How much has he meant to you in this program?
Man, JoJo, I could go on forever about Joe. Somebody came in here as a walk-on, had opportunities to play at other places, and this is where he wanted to go to school to build a life after football. I mean, Joe's going to start his 44th game on Saturday. 44 games, and he's 36th straight that he'll end up starting. I really can't say enough great things about Joe, the person he is, the man he's become. Kind of pull it to in full circle. One of my best friends, my college roommate, sent me a text last Thursday or last Friday, and said they just hired Joe at the company, Foresight Group, and it's a civil site design development company. My roommate has done, worked for a year or so, and then went out and started his own thing with a couple of guys, and they've been very successful with it. And to see them turn around and hire a guy, and Joe's intern for him for the last couple of years, just the impact that he was able to have and how much they enjoyed him being there and how hard of a worker he is. That's pretty neat. That is really neat. You talk about why you love to be at a place, right? It's not always just the football. It's the other things. I mean, we're building lives and putting better young men into the world. And Joe's one that is really going to do great things. But before all that comes, he needs to be great for a lot more games here. And to see a guy that age improve in their last year and make improvements. We've got a lot of those. We've got a lot of seniors that are playing their best football right now, that have improved from last season or improved from the beginning of the year even. He's one of them. Can't replace experience out there on the field.
Going back to that, obviously you got a lot of great glue guys. You got Keelan Rutledge, right? We know about Joe. Just how impressive have you been with just the offensive line? Like, you guys don't allow a lot of sacks. You guys getting all these yards, scoring points. I know obviously there's things you want to work on, Coach, but how impressive have you been with that group just as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not supposed to say that, right? How impressed I am with them. They don't need to hear that. That's my baby now. And I'm, really happy for Jeep and the work he puts in, the unseen work that he puts in with those guys of coaching them and putting together the run plan and drilling those guys every day and coaching all of them, not just coaching, the 5 starters, but coaching all those guys. That's not an easy thing to do. A lot of times O-line coaches get caught up in just coaching the 5 guys that are playing and they're not coaching the other guys. And now something happens, the next guy's not necessarily ready to play, whether it's that year or the next season. He does a great job of developing those guys from a young age, but because of the time he does put in with them, it's not about any one person though. It's a collection of 5 guys that have to play as one, and it's probably the best example in a small glimpse of what I think a football team should be. All right, the O-line is representation of it because that's 5 guys playing as one. Well, back into the defense is 5 guys and 5 DBs playing together as one. All right, then you got 11 on each side of the ball in special teams. So, football team's just one big happy group of fat guys. But no, I've been pleased, but we got to continue to get better. We have to get better. All right, there's no choice. I mean, you're not going to stay the same. We have to improve. This was a week for us to really, the past bye week was a week for us to improve as an offense, as a defense, as special teams, and that starts individually way before it is a scheme. I mean, schemes are all personnel driven. I'm not worried about. There's a million plays you can draw up, or a million blitzes, or coverages, or calls. All right, what can they go out there and execute? I'm a guy that would rather have one run, one pass, and one defensive call, and do it perfect, do it right, than have a bunch of them. Now, when you master 1 or 2 or 3, I mean, then you can start to add the volume. But you got to all play together as one, and that's what we have to do this week.
Alex, come back to you.
You knew when you asked me an O-line question, it was going to kind of send me off on a tangent a bunch of different ways.
You talked about your relationship, your history with Bill O'Brien on Tuesday. I know that, like you said, they haven't had the season. Obviously, they wanted to 1-9. You've been around him enough to kind of know
Hey,
that.
Billy, I'm not a walk-on. All right. Joe Fusel was a walk-on. He's a lot better than me. All right, a lot better than me. So there you go.
But just talk about kind of being around him enough to know that, even at 1-9, that he's going to have the same kind of approach and kind of the same approach this week.
Yeah, I would think so, just knowing him. But again, he'd tell you the same thing I'd say. I mean, it's not about Bill O'Brien. It's about his football team, right? It's about them playing better football and continuing to improve. Look, he was on that staff here when Coach O'Leary was building this thing in the mid-'90s, and a lot of great coaches on that staff, a lot of them. He knows how to build a football team. Right? He's shown that. Okay, and they're in a build. That's what it is. And anytime you're in a build, once the season starts getting towards the end, right? As a coach, especially a coach like him who's had as much experience as he has as a head coach, right? Those games at the end of the season are big for them, big, huge, right? To gain positive momentum going into the offseason. All right, so we're expecting their absolute very best version of themselves to be out there on Saturday afternoon.
Coach, position group or a unit that always gets kind of overlooked, special teams. And you got a lot of young guys that are
Not
playing.
here, we don't.
Will Kiker, guys like Tay Harris has filled in, Chad Alexander, so many more. Just your thoughts on how that group's performed and just some of those stone guys that have came up big for you this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Chris Elkos and since Trey Maddox has been back, and Dalen Gordon, who's, he's as, cut out of what you want a captain to be on your football team, and the way he goes about his business with special teams, but always ready to go in on offense. And Will Kiker, Luke Harpering. I know I'm missing somebody. Oh yeah, now that Miles is back, Miles Forrestall, and then you've got a lot of the freshmen, like you got Tay and Elgin, and then but then you have guys that they might go out there for one team on Saturday, all right, and they aren't a starter on offense or defense, all right, and maybe that one play or those 6 plays or those 12 plays, all right, those have to be the most critical, important plays of the day for them. I mean, I want to see guys, if you get 7 plays in the game and it's on kickoff cover, right? You're getting 7 on kickoff return or whatever it is. All right, so I want to see those guys foaming at the mouth, right, to go out there and play the absolute most physical, disciplined, right, competitive play they can possibly play.
Anything else? Appreciate it.
All right, go Jackets.
Thanks, Coach.